It's a pleasure to recognize the gentleman from Utah, Mr. Curtis, for your 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and what a very interesting hearing. As I've listened, it's clear to me that there's broad consensus that we have something very important here. I like that it's bipartisan. I've been impressed with the depth of knowledge from the members who have participated in this community, everything from personal experience, Representative Mullen, to our constituents. It seems to impact every single one of us. And many of us have talked about the impact on rural parts of our district. We've been fortunate in the sense that we've had this opportunity as we've gone through the pandemic to try things we might not have otherwise tried. And it occurs to me that most of us can see intuitively a lot of good things, but there's also a strong sense, as I've listened to the members, for more data, for more information, for worry about abuse, worry about fraud. And I've introduced a piece of legislation that Dr. Mehrotra, I'd like to ask you about. It's called the COVID-19 Emergency Telehealth Impact Reporting Act. I'm really pleased that it has some really good, strong bipartisan support from members of this committee. In essence, it would require the federal government to collect and analyze telehealth data from the pandemic. And Doctor, it seems like almost so obvious that it would be a rhetorical question, but I want to ask it particularly in light of other options, which is how important is it for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to work with Congress to obtain better telehealth data, and maybe contrast that to academia or the industry that would be also looking for data. But what's the role here for us here in Congress?
Well, Representative Curtis, as a researcher who studies telemedicine and does exactly what you're describing, this is obviously of great interest and I think of really critically important. And in terms of, I would definitely agree that we need more data, both on what's happening during the pandemic. Myself and many others are studying that right now, but also in that post-pandemic period, hopefully very soon, where we can start to see how things get into more of a steady state. One thing that I might emphasize where I see a real weakness and that Health and Human Services could act is in Medicaid. It's a real area where it's such a critical aspect of the US healthcare system, yet we don't have as much data right now that people are looking at in terms of what's been the impact of telemedicine in that among that patient population.
So that's great. I'd also like to kind of get your thoughts on the metrics. What metrics should we be using to determine if we make a lot of these things permanent? What, in your community, what metrics would you like to have available to you that would help us make better decisions?
I think the key here is obviously, and the thing that we are all hopeful of, is that telemedicine will improve health. And so I think that'd be the metric that I'd love to look at. In a paper we just looked at yesterday, published yesterday, we found that roughly a third of US hospitals have now introduced telestroke, and that's leading to decreased mortality. And that's the kind of work that we really want to demonstrate across many areas of telemedicine. The only other, but similar measures of patient satisfaction and whether physicians and other clinicians are following those guidelines is also a really key aspect as we assess the impact of telemedicine across these different areas.
Could you weigh in on just a little bit of time that we have left on not only this, but behavioral telehealth and telemedication assisted treatment, and how do we, capture this opportunity for cost savings?
Yeah, no, I think in the area of, say, opioid use disorder or other substance use, how long patients are in treatment is going to be the key aspect of that. And then in terms of looking at, the hope would be is that if we can address the people's substance use disorder better, they won't end up in the emergency department or will have further complications. And those are the types of metrics that we can look at.
Excellent. Thank you. I've got just a moment left and didn't want to ignore some of the other witnesses. I don't know if you have any comments. If not, I'll yield my time back. But any of the other witnesses want to comment on those questions?
Hi, I just wanted to let you know that we will have early data on patient experience using telehealth for a Medicaid population this spring. We're happy to share that with you.
Thank you. That's awesome. Madam Chair, I yield the balance of my time.